Hey everyone, and welcome to your carrier update, sponsored by PowerFleet. So we've seen volumes exceeding last year's levels. Looking at the outbound tender volume index up here in the blue, that's where we're at right now at about 10,315 this year in terms of outbound volume. 97.23 last year, so a lot weaker situation last year. Now we do think that some of this has to do with the fact that we have less time in between the Thanksgiving period and Christmas. So that's going to really compress the amount of time that shippers have to produce enough volume to ship out. So we don't think that, however, this is the total reason. So it's just way too high. It's 8% higher than last year, for instance. So where in the country are we starting to see some of this conditions change? So this is the outbound tender market share with the outbound tender rejection index on top of it. So anything in blue, tender rejection rates are really starting to pile up. But this is last week's map. This isn't this week's map. I wanted to put this up here first just to show where everybody, how the conditions are changing week over week. This time last week, things were a lot less settled. We were starting to see things really settle down after Thanksgiving. We thought we were going to take a breath like we normally do at the end of the holiday period, but it really, really didn't stick because we started to see a lot of volumes across the Midwest pick up along with the Northeastern corridor. So anytime that we see this action happen, that means that we're just starting to think that this Christmas time period is going to be a lot less stable, for instance. So this week, however, a lot more blue on this map. Tons of blue out here in the plains, out in California, surprisingly out in California, which has been a very stable period, a stable area of the country over the last several weeks. Up here in the Northwest, we started to settle down. A lot of unseasonable instability up there over the first few weeks, but really across the wider range of the country, we've seen a lot more instability across the upper Midwest, the Southeast starting to show up in terms of outbound tender rejection rates. So really not a settled environment right now. Carriers need to be watching all of their shippers. They have potential for making increasing margins on the spot market when it is available. So looking out here across the middle of the country, we've got Arkansas really starting to pick up. I wanted to change gears here for this is the head haul index. So the weekly change in head haul values. What that is instead of just showing you straight outbound volumes, I wanted to show you, well, here's where the most chance for disruption is going to happen. Anywhere in blue is effectively going to have more outbound than inbound volumes over the last week. That's going to mean that you're going to have a lower supply side situation for trucks in that market. A lot of these regions up here that we've seen, a lot of regional instability, Columbus market, Harrisburg, for instance, Newark, New Jersey, and down here around Savannah. Now, this is the time of year that we see all these ports. They've already got a bunch of freight coming in from the ships. They have a lot of DC sitting in these markets, and then we start to do replenishment. So after Thanksgiving, all these orders go out into the end of the world, and they start to fill up the retail stores and retail spaces. So looking at the Savannah market, we see right here, this is the outbound tender volume index for Savannah. 104.37 right now. We're starting to see things pick up a little bit after the holiday. We expect that. Now, peak season was over here in September, at the beginning of October, and it really fell off. Savannah's been one of the largest or the fastest growing markets in the United States, especially due to the fact that we're seeing a lot of freight pull forward, Chinese tariffs, all that, cats and dogs living together in Savannah. But down here, you have the short haul. The short haul volumes are really starting to drive that, along with some regional freight movements on the mid-haul volume index. Surprisingly though, long haul outbound tender volumes as well are starting to pick up. So anything moving over 800 miles out of the Savannah market starting to pick up. So carriers out there looking for freight in the Southeast, the Savannah market is a great option moving forward. And that'll do it for today's Carrier Update.
The comprehensive logistics offerings from PowerFleet cover in-cab ELD, fleet management, trailer tracking, cargo monitoring, and tracking other assets such as chassis and intermodal containers. Power up your operations with PowerFleet.